The future has arrived, and now it's going to be the question if you're going to be part of it or you're going to be part of the resistance. And as you guys know, I just have founded a new career search community where we talk about your career growth, where you talk about job searching, how to get a high paying job, and all that. And somebody wrote in the community yesterday that they got interviewed by an AI. Now you're like, what are you talking about? So, as you know, I've been really focusing and doubling down on helping job seekers find, get jobs, get hired. And I've been talking a lot about AI, what it can and can't do. And so one of these people who joined my community, it's free, you should join it, so you can be part of these discussions and actually get better at, being part of something greater and see how you can use this to your benefit. So, my first AI artificial job interview. The future is definitely here. Yesterday was extremely interesting for me because I was interviewed by an AI chatbot. The interviewer asked me generic interview questions while closely observing my answers by highlighting keywords. Overall, it was surprisingly engaging and eye-opening experience for me. It seems like AI will be playing more of a critical role in the job market as they are already used to vetting resumes as well as job interviews. So, as I've been telling you guys, it's coming. It is here. It's just not widespread adopted yet. So now you can either say, I'm going to fight this with tooth and nail and say, I hate it, and go completely against the grain, or you can be an adopter and say, you know what, this is how it's going to be going, so let me make the best of it, and I will then be a cog in the wheel and just make my paycheck, go home, be with my family, and kind of live my life. And I know a bunch of you guys are saying, hey, this isn't right, this isn't right. It doesn't matter if it's right or not. It just doesn't. Because it is what it is and you cannot change it. I, with my 5,600 followers, cannot change stuff like this. So if you want to change something, hit that like and subscribe button and maybe we'll get there at one point, right? So now, let's talk about what's going to happen, right? So I got laid off 2 weeks ago from a big tech company that this year alone cut off 10,000 people, massive. Company's doing well financially, stock's doing well, but they need to follow big stockholders' agenda and corporate greed and all this other stuff, right? And I'm telling you, this is what's coming. People are saying, hey, we can leverage these tools to make people that are not that efficient, we can say, hey, instead of having 100 people, we can work with 30, 40, we get rid of the rest and we just give them tools to do their job faster, more efficiently, and some other stuff, right? And now we got to see what other people said. Other people said, oh, cutting lawns like this is going to be still human. Nobody wants to do that. And I'm going to say wrong. And I'm going to say wrong to that. And this is kind of like what I would be doing. So if I lived in Florida today and I wasn't in the job search field because I've already so much money and time invested into it, what I would do is I would actually say, I'm going to hire a robot, and I'm going to say, hey, I'll come cut this lawn for a few $100s, and I'm going to do it every week. And what you need to do is you need to buy one of these robots, map it out, do it on an app, and just drop it off, and just kind of let it do its thing. Put an air tag in it so they don't steal it, and it is coming. I'm telling you. And this like, oh, this isn't AI yet, or whatever they're going to come up with. But it's the beginning, right? It is the beginning. So how do you prevent that? And how are you going to make yourself stand out? Well, you got to learn AI tools. You got to be a super producer. And you don't have to be going above and beyond. But with AI, it just raises your productivity. So it makes sense for you to actually be part of something greater, something bigger, and do better things, right? And so when I'm looking at all these things and I'm looking at, hey, this is how you're going to be an employee, a powerhouse, and doing all that. So you're going to leverage AI tools, right? So you got through the interview with AI, you got this, and now let's make sure you keep the job. So let's look at somebody that wrote me an email. If you want to write me one, I love to read it. Shoot me an email. So read this email that somebody sent me. And it's hard to say that he lost his dream job because he said something to another employee about history, and then they got let go, they fired, they did something. And as I have to tell you guys, you do not have friends at work. You don't. coworkers. And if they have big discussions about politics, racism, gender, just nod your head and remove yourself from the conversation. And if you say so, if they like, so what's your opinion? You just say, I don't know, I haven't formed it yet. So stuff like that you got to do, because then they say, a lot of you guys said, oh, HR is going to be, doing all that. HR is also going to be automated, right? It's going to be AI doing all this other stuff. And so what you got to be focusing on is who at the job place, who at the job place is protecting this one person. So one person that I actually know was doing not okay stuff at work. And they said, why isn't that guy fired? He's showing up late to work. He doesn't really care. He's not a great manager. But who's protecting him? Because he should not be here. And so there were complaints filed with HR. And comes to find out later on, like way later, years later, I found this out, that this guy was a mid-level manager, and he inherited a house that was right next to the vice president's house, and he and the vice president were drinking buddies. And so the vice president, whenever there was HR complaints, just squashed it. This was a big company, right? And so you think, because you're working there and it's like, oh my gosh, Susan did something and I'm going to get after Susan. You do not know if Susan is protected by the vice president, who she's sleeping with, what she's doing. And this isn't just for women, this is also for guys, right? What they're doing with what their affiliation is, and who protects them. Because in the corporate world, you have freedoms, you can do things, but there's a limit to it, because it's just like politics. You got to get votes, you got to get people aboard, there's money to be spent, and then you got to go and lobby for more money so your department grows. And it's like a game of chess. It's like 3D chess, where it constantly moves and you need to be ahead of the game. And so what you can do is you can use AI to further that career, right? Or you can say, you know what, I'm going to cut it all out and I'm going to be done. And that's also a way of doing it. But now we're just looking at, hey, this is how it's going to go, and then you got fired, right? And the funny part is I'd also had to fire somebody. And I was like, hey, when you come work for me, and this is from a business owner perspective, right? So as you know, I also have employees, and I let my employees have a bunch of freedoms. I let them work whenever, I let them work from whenever to do the work, right? So you can show up at whenever time, but if you have calls that you're required to be there, you just got to be there. But I don't care if you're on a Tuesday afternoon, you're going to fly wherever and have a vacation, and you're going to take your laptop and just do your work from whenever. And I don't mind you during the day when I pay you for a full-time pay for salary. I don't mind you going and getting your tires changed. I don't mind you taking a 3-hour lunch break. You just got to make it up. And then I don't even measure the time. I measure it by output, right? So I'm not even a boss like that, because I personally hated that, where I measure this on like, hey, we just got to perform. The company needs to make money. You're there for a reason. I give you a goal. And if you don't succeed us, we'll have a chat. But if you can get your quotas in the last week of the month, hey, more kudos to you, right? And so what happened with this particular employee was they said, hey, I'm going to be sick. And I said, hey, take the time, just make it up. And then when you have very important clients' calls and you do no show, no calls, right? You just don't show and you just put it on my schedule, and then I have to scrap around. You've got to get fired. And a lot of people say, oh, that's not going to be right. No call, no show. You should give them another chance. And that I'm like, no, I cannot operate a business. A business is there to make a profit. And from me, as a business owner perspective, because I've been an employee, I've done it, I've seen both sides of the coin. I need to make a profit. And if you cannot help me succeed and make a profit, I cannot keep you around, because in order to keep my company going, I have monthly reoccurring expenses. I have software that I need to pay for. I have all these other things, that I have insurance, I have all this other stuff that they want money from me every month, right? And I want to put food on my table too. And I want to have a hat, I want to have glasses, I want to have a nice watch like this one. And I don't want to be just doing the mediocre life, or I would have not started a company. So I want to have a profit, right? So now you're like, oh, as an employee, I don't care about none of that. I just want to be there and do my time. Well, if you're going to have that mindset, then you got to work at the city. You got to work at the local government spot where you just show up on time. But even those places will duct you when you have time. So the lesson is that if you are not producing, or not saving the company money, you're out. And I like, well, that seems obvious to me. It is, but it's not everybody that knows that. And when I see all these people that are like, oh, I got laid off because of this, and this, it's like, yeah, either you had the wrong alliances, you had a wrong assumption, or you couldn't produce, right? Or there was just mass layoff and you weren't fortunate, right? It can be any of these threes. So now I'm saying to these people, so what do you do now? What do you as an employee do? Well, you got to go find another job. You got to go in the job market. You got to do the right things, and you got to figure out, where is all this? Where's my money going to come from next month, right? And when you have stuff like excuses afterwards, where when I contact you, and this is just me as a business owner talking, it's like, hey, what happened? Why didn't you not make the call? Oh, I had no internet. Well, it's Friday at 2 o'clock and you had call scheduled to explain our product. Why did you not make that call? Well, I had no internet. I was up in the mountains. Well, that doesn't help me at all, right? And so now I need to drop other clients that I'm working on, that I'm networking with, that I'm trying to sell something to, or trying to get a problem for their solution, right? I'm trying to figure out a solution to their problem. And now you're like, hey, this isn't right, and do all that. Then if you think like that, I always have these few people that think everything needs to be handed to them, right? And those people should work at charities. And if you're looking at these charities, then all of a sudden you notice that working for a charity isn't that charitable at all, because they also have quotas. They also have to do all this, right? And now they're like, well, I'm just going to start a YouTube channel and make money from YouTube. And I'm going to do all that. And it's like, good luck. Because just the gimbal that I'm filming this right now in is about $600-700, right? And to get here took me years. And I've been doing it religiously for a few years. So don't think that you can just say, hey, I'm going to become an entrepreneur and I'm going to do videos, right? It's going to take you a long, long time to get placed at an audience, to do a whole bunch of different things where you're going to find your audience, what you want to do, and not change it, right? And then you're like, I got a video, right? I got the camera now. So what else am I going to do? Well, if you want to do that, you got the camera, you got the video, and this is YouTube, or doing any kind of video, is a competitive field like you wouldn't believe it. Holy moly. It is now the gig time of attention. If you can get attention, you can get great money. So making about 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 views on some videos, you'll make about $400 bucks, right? So making $400, if you're starting off, you're going to make no money, because YouTube wants to see that, hey, you're this person and you can actually do all that, right? So now you got to put in all this upfront investment, but then you got to keep it going, because it's not going to be just as easy as these huge YouTubers make it out to be, where they say, you know what, we're going to upload videos and it's going to make me money till infinity. No, there's life cycles to everything, right? To videos, to content, to whatnot. And so if you're going to say, I got laid off, let me start my own gig, it is really, really hard. It's really tough. It is really, really hard to start something, because part one, you're spending more now on your own business than just job searching, right? And B, you got to go out and do sales. You got to go out and hustle for clients. And don't think that people that said, I'll buy your product, they'll actually end up buying. 90% of these people that says, I'm going to buy from you if you started, or these friends of yours that said, you should really start this company, I'll buy from you. They're not going to buy. Never, I think 1%. So if you have 100 friends that said, I'll buy something, 1% is going to buy from you. The rest, it's just not going to happen. So what do? You have to get another job. You just have to. If you got laid off because of something like that, because you said something, you just gotta find another gig. and save money, and hopefully you did not over leverage yourself and you didn't buy the nicest car at 18% interest, paying $2,000 a month, and unemployment pays you almost nothing. And yeah, it is cutthroat out there. So now I'm asking you, are you embracing AI, or are you saying, you know what, kick it to the curb, I'm just gonna do it however? Because a lot of you guys I've seen, been getting messages like, been job searching for 18 months, 19 months. I've been job searching since August. And you just gotta be active. You gotta be networking. You gotta find a community of other job seekers. And you don't have to join mine. You can find one on LinkedIn. You can go wherever and exchange. Because the more you exchange, the better you're gonna get at it. And it's not necessarily that you're gonna be like, this is gonna be the reason why, because there's gonna be multiple reasons. You're gonna start, hey, you wanna invite me to a coffee chat or something else, and you have a conversation. And once you're like fluent at this, because I'll tell you one thing, 90% of people, once they get a job, they're not gonna go on LinkedIn again, they're not gonna do nothing, and they're not gonna network at all. So now they're like, let me dust off my networking skills and start doing it. And so what we're trying to do is just kind of have it be a habit, so that you constantly practice it, that you're staying there and just trying to communicate, trying to have conversations, and just be like, hey, we're gonna be active, see what the market is. Because a good friend of mine always was job searching. And when you're always on the job search, you know trends, you know what they're looking for, you can see what's coming in the pipeline. Because if you're not gonna be on the trend and you're gonna think, hey, I haven't been job searching for the past 8 years, but now I am, and now you're gonna be thinking, hey, I'm just gonna dusty out my resume, you're gonna be getting rejections letter, because it's just not gonna happen. Why is it not gonna happen? Because the industry changed. You see how fast-paced the environment is. Stuff changes, and you just gotta find something that's like, hey, I'm gonna go to resume now, go all this stuff, and trying to get some tools, get to bootstrap it so I can just move quicker into the right direction. And most of these jobs that Indeed did a poll, they said 80% of all these jobs were through networking and getting like, hey, I know John is the most amazing engineer ever. You should really look into him. Is he unemployed right now? Yeah, give him a call. So then you call him and you're like, this would be a great addition to the team. And so all of a sudden, that's how it's done. And that's why I'm telling you guys need to network and do all this. So let me know what you think about all this, because from a business owner perspective, it's a lot different from the employee perspective. So let me know, and let me know which side of the coin you're on the business owner or the employee, because I'm super curious to hear. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe. And yeah, I make content like this all the time. So let me know what you think, and I'm hoping to see you in the next one. And let me know if you want to connect on LinkedIn or shoot me an email.